B.R.K. Ingalls, who's an architect, a sustainability warrior, and has won a project to develop a smart city in Bhutan. I'm going to take his views and how exactly he plans to do that. Speaking first, diving straight into the Bhutan smart city. B.R.K., would you want to tell us what's special about it? We hear there's eye-catching bridges, and the model, the way that you're building it itself is so breathtaking, but yet fully earth environment friendly.
Yes. So, I mean, first of all, we call it the mindfulness city because the idea is that the foundational values of the city is essentially the Vajrayana Buddhism principles of Bhutan, and Bhutan is it's the most sustainable country in the world. It sequesters twice as much carbon as it emits, and they measure their success as a nation in happiness, the gross national happiness index. So we try to imagine a city that doesn't displace the existing nature, but actually enhances it, where the existing rivers become like linear central parks cascading down the Himalayas, allowing the elephants to connect from the mountains down to India. And then the different neighborhoods are almost like terraces, like rice paddy fields, and entirely built from locally sourced timber. Timber is the greatest natural resource of Bhutan. And then all the bridges, because you have 35 rivers, so all the bridges that connect from one neighborhood to another become like the community centers, the hospital, the university, the marketplace, but also the airport. And the biggest bridge is what we call the Temple Dam, because the water actually connects Bhutan to India. So we imagine it like an architectural hybrid of Bhutan and India. So the 150-meter tall face of the dam is designed like an Indian stepwell.
Wow.
So in the colors of Bhutanese temples. So you can walk 1,000 different pilgrimage routes down to a temple nested on the side of the dam, like a 21st century equivalent of the tiger's nest in Bhutan. So somehow turning engineering into art and turning infrastructure into worship and spirituality.
Wow, worship and spirituality connected, intertwined with design, and I think that it's interesting how you've spoken about sustainability with spirituality. I heard you listening very keenly to Sadhguru. Why don't you tell us how do you bring in spirituality with your sustainable designs? I'm sure a bunch of architects would be very keen on hearing that.
No, like I think of course, like one definition of mindfulness is the idea of being fully present without prejudice, right? To be present in the now. I think Sadhguru had a beautiful definition because he was correcting the interviewer who was conflating belief, religion, and spirituality. And he said basically, if you are a believer, you to rest your soul, you choose to believe in the authority of some established truth, whether it be a religious leader or a scripture or whatever. But to be spiritual is actually not to be a believer. To be spiritual is to be a seeker, to know that you don't know, and to always be looking for solutions, not for truths. And in that sense, I do believe that the work as an architect and a planner is that we are always trying to actually arrive at every place with an open mind. To in this case, we went to Bhutan to learn from the Bhutanese and their wisdom, and then to apply those principles and values to imagine a city that is not a replication of other cities that you may know, but could be genuinely grown from Bhutanese bedrock.
But when you speak of bedrock, I think India's quality is spirituality. One of the virtues of Indian is being spiritual. Would you say that we can do a lot more with the current resources that we have with our natural environment, and we're not the best when it comes to sustainability, but we are getting there? What would you suggest to a common man on the best practices of sustainability in today's day? We know natural resources are fast exhausting. So coming from someone like you, How can I change my daily living to ensure sustainability?
No, no,
Just a few examples.
yeah, but I think it very much it depends on where you live, what climate you're in, what's available in your particular city. So there's a lot of knowledge about living conditions in India that I don't have yet. We've never worked here, but I think the truth is, in a way, to have that what may be the right sustainable answer in Copenhagen is very certainly going to be very different from what is the right answer in Delhi or Mumbai.
Extreme heat. That's most parts of the country during summers.
Yeah, no, of course, and in Denmark we spend all our energy on heating, actually.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's really about taking a thoughtful inventory, but like forgetting the cliches and just looking much more matter-of-factly about what are the challenges right where we are, what are the resources that are available, and what are the problems we have to tackle. But I think one of the ideas we've discovered in our work is what we call hedonistic sustainability.
Yeah.
The idea that the sustainable city or building not only is better for the environment, but it can also be much more enjoyable for the people that live in it. Right. And the first time we discovered this was the first project we ever did was the Copenhagen Harbor Bath. Yeah. The port of Copenhagen had become so clean you could swim in it. Wow. So suddenly, instead of driving for hours to get to the beach, Copenhageners could jump in the port in the middle of the city. And that gave us this idea that maybe this is how sustainability wins. If it not only is the right thing to do for the environment, but it's also much more enjoyable, much more fun, much more beautiful for the people that live with it.
If I may, we have one of the countries that tops the charts when it comes to the most number of vehicles in the world. India and traffic is literally synonymous. How would you approach a situation like that if you had to do a project with India? What would be your approach?
No, like I think one way to address traffic, actually we're creating a city together with Toyota called the Woven City at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan, where we are trying to we actually analyze what do you use a street for, and right now you try to do everything on the street, which means that everything becomes dominated by the cars. Yeah. So we said, what if you have three kinds of streets? One with electric autonomous vehicles and pedestrians. One which is more like a promenade, so half of it is public space. You can bicycle or e-scoot and walk. And one which is actually a park where you can only walk. And then we weave these streets together in both directions, which means that we're creating a city, the Woven City, where you can get from anywhere to anywhere in an electric vehicle, or in an e-scooter, or walking only through a park. Right. So in a way, you end up taking 2/3 of what is normally occupied by cars, and you give it up to more interesting forms of life. So I think these principles could easily be implemented on an Indian city, and you might actually discover that instead of moving cars, what you really want is to move people.
Wow. You know, I would ask you a question that I don't know. Would you be able to tell us if electric vehicles consume a lot of electricity? Is that sustainable yet? Better than oil?
No, I mean, of course, the whole trick of electrical vehicles is to make sure that the energy is sourced renewably. So anything that is electrified, you can power it with renewables. But of course, if you burn coal to produce power to charge your car, you haven't changed anything. Yeah. But in order to convert to renewables, you need the electric infrastructure.
Yeah. All right, awesome. A quick word to Indians. I asked you for a quick take on what we can do seated at home as basics. Would you want to delve into that? What kind of routine do you follow to ensure you omit the least?
Well, again, I do think that, of course, as an individual, I mean, I drive an electric car, and I drive it very little because I mostly walk to work. But that's because I'm fortunate that I live close to my work in New York. But I think at the end of the day, the individual, I think the best way for the individual to have an impact is actually through doing what they're good at. Yeah. because you don't have an impact on what kind of electricity comes out.